at the very beginning of your relationship, when I met him, I was like, okay, all right. But it's not like I'm going to be like, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so, Trisha.
Well, there were a handful of family members and friends who were very honest, in a very gracious way, mind you.
Welcome back to Cover Your Assets. I am Joe, and this is
Jade.
And we are joined today by Trisha Perez.
Thank you so much. What an honor.
Thanks
for joining
coming.
us.
Absolutely. It's such a joy to be here.
Yeah. So Trisha and I have known each other for just about 30 years.
Oh, good Lord. You're going to age us?
Wait, I thought you said you're 30.
I am 30.
Oh, okay.
We've known each other since birth.
Okay.
But
Right.
Trisha has been nice enough to come on our podcast today to share her personal story about her own divorce. And we'll get right into it right after I share a brief bio about Trisha.
Thank you.
From government systems to soulful entrepreneurship, Trisha bridges the practical with the mystical. An expert in progressive technologies, entrepreneurial ventures, holistic healing arts, womb wisdom, and conscious wealth activation, she guides visionary women to embody feminine power, awake intuitive wisdom, and create abundant lives. So, Trisha, we shared with you that in a previous episode, we talked to somebody else, Nancy Hetrick, about the 4 stages of transition, which is a little bit different from 4 stages of grief. And we wanted to see, I guess, I would like to say, I guess, that I was with you pretty much throughout your divorce process, but let's go through it here for those people that wasn't there, and Jade that wasn't there. Jade, what is that first phase?
Yeah, so that first phase that we look at is that anticipation phase. So I'd be curious to learn from you, and can the listener learn from you too? What did that anticipation stage look like? When did you have that first feeling that something with our marriage is not right, and maybe that's the path that we're going to be heading down there of divorce?
Okay, to answer your question about anticipation is probably the scariest part because you're so much in your head. You're overthinking, you come up with the worst and best case scenarios. You try to talk yourself out of it. You even think is this real? Am I imagining things? Maybe it's not that bad, or maybe it is. It's just, you just go through this whole spectrum of self-inquiry and self-doubt. So anticipation, it can be a really fun part of it. But for me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, even with the question of divorce, even just asking yourself that question, to be or not to be, to do or not to do.
Yeah.
Even that simple question alone it's just an invitation it just opens the door to so many things and possibilities that you don't even want to get into.
Yeah.
So anticipation it was a huge hurdle for me.
How long do you think you were in that? I don't even know if you can measure it really, but if you had to guesstimate.
I think deep down, I knew from the start of the tenure of the relationship, if I have to be completely transparent and brutally honest with myself.
Yeah.
And I can say that now because I'm in a space of authenticity and discovery of myself. Now, if you were to ask me that a year ago, I would probably have answered the same way, but in a different tone and texture.
So she said that maybe looking at it now, maybe she's always known?
Yes.
Since the beginning?
Oh.
Of the relationship or beginning of the marriage?
Probably the relationship.
Really?
Yeah. But because, that version of yourself or myself is so different from who I am now, or how I vibrate, or how I move and conduct myself in all aspects of my life. It's okay. I didn't have the tools nor the language to understand what I was experiencing or what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was going through. I didn't have that context for myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was probably a little voice there. And there were external voices because there were family and friends too that
Yeah.
there were
So
signs
you kinda
along the way.
Was your body, I guess, suppressing that, or like saying, "Don't be silly. You're in this marriage, or you're in this relationship. Let's just, this is just natural."
Yes, there's a level of suppression, which is, I forget the different levels, how it starts off, because when you don't have expression or when you don't exercise expression becomes, repression, then suppression or repression, one of those. But yes, it got to the really, really underbelly of lack of expression. But to the outside, I had this persona of strength and power, empowered woman and all that, but not for my own self, right? So
Were you the decider?
Yes.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And to circle back to what your question about suppression, you make these small micro decisions. It's in the nuanced moments where it builds on top of each other. And then before you know it, you don't recognize the person in the mirror.
Yeah. You spoke about like all these conversations that are happening, and I'm curious, like, was this just conversations that you're having with yourself, or were you also sharing it with friends or family about, like, I'm just going to say, concerns about your marriage and your relationship?
If I have to say, the family and friends and loved ones were the ones who were more communicative about it in terms of conversation, right? And bringing it to awareness. For myself, it was definitely more foggy.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there was this one turning point where I was like, oh shit, like this might be where you're going. We were meeting up for dinner
Yes.
at a Japanese place. And I just remember that night where you're like, I think this is probably going to happen. I forget whether you had a conversation with him in the car just before or just after in the parking lot. Like, I was like, oh crap, this is it, or probably it.
Yeah.
But
I'm curious to know, how was it to experience on your end as a witness of my journey and as my friend?
well, it's interesting because I'm, I guess, in the divorce business, but that's, when possible, it's not something that I encourage. It's not what I discourage, but I don't encourage it because it's everybody's choice. But I think, I was there with you, meeting up with you periodically, and knowing that you were having these issues in your relationship. And then when you got to that point where you're like, I think I'm going to go this route. And I remember thinking like, okay, all right, so I'm going to be supportive. I'm going to try to be helpful and just really listen, but I don't want to influence.
Right.
Because you should own it. It's yours.
It's your journey, yeah.
Yeah. But I was like, I'm going to be on your team and just support you any way possible.
To this day and forevermore, I cannot express enough how I am so absolutely grateful for you and our friendship and the unending support you gave, even just holding space for me to figure that out for myself, even though I knew that if I were to really ask you and you were to tell me, you would tell me straight out what to do.
What, really?
Well, and
I say that.
And actually, if I have to be frank, I think I also knew at the very beginning of your relationship when I met him, I was like, okay, all right, but it's not like I'm going to be like, nah, I don't think so, Trisha.
Well, there were a handful of family members and friends who were very honest, in a very gracious way, mind you.
Just in case you got back together again, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to burn that bridge.
Look, I liked him, but there are people that like, do they work together? Do they not? And then you have an opinion. So it's nothing about him and it's nothing about you, but it's just like, okay, well, hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
So
Can we maybe, shift, from, I guess, that anticipation to like that next phase, which is like ending. So that's where I guess it comes all to a head.
that uncoupling,
Yeah,
the actual process of divorce.
What did that look like for you? How did that come about? Was it a certain conversation, like multiple conversations leading up to it?
And
Did
what-
you guys then move out? Or
Yeah.
what's that
What
look
kind
like?
of process did you pick? Like a way to get divorced? We have a million questions.
Yeah, that's okay. That's cool. So for the ending had a lot to do with anticipation, meaning planning. That was a immense part of it. And I would turn to Joe for financial advice, Well, first of all, she went through her process, not just like I didn't just go to her for emotional support, but one of the first things I thought of is, oh my God, what about the money part? What do I do?
Yeah.
Like taxes, properties, assets, this, that, because, we had 2 homes, we had multiple businesses, whether if it's some businesses I started with other partners, but we were also business partners.
Yeah.
Our lives were so intermingled.
Yeah, definitely not clean. Not a clean way to separate things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to delve into more about what a clean process would be like. I'm curious to know what that would be. But going back, the planning was so key to the ending part. And the ending is not just a straight, direct, black and white. This is it. Everything is so process oriented. And fortunately for me, I had Josefti to turn to, especially for the financial portion of it. It was such a key component.
So did you go, looking at that divorce process, specifically, did you both have, did you go through mediation? Did you guys both have your own attorneys? Like what team did you surround yourself with? And, I guess, what was it like for your ex there?
We did our best, or we chose to not go through the court trial route. So we did our best to go through mediation. So, but by doing that, it's going to knowing that it'll take longer than we'd like. And with that, you have consulting attorneys.
So you had a consulting attorney.
Yeah, we both did.
Yeah.
We both did.
Okay. And just looking up on that process, what do you think, just really quick, what do you think worked well? What do you think could have worked better?
Would you, if you had to do it again, would you go down that same route as well then?
I would, but this time I would just have a lawyer handle it for me rather than the two of us getting on a Zoom. Oh, this all happened during the pandemic, by the way. So that was an added layer of stress and unknown variables.
Yeah.
And the scheduling between each other and the mediator was a bit chaotic.
And what'd you like about mediation? I don't know, in terms of, you said, you'd rather have a lawyer maybe just represent you in terms of the communication. Any other things that you not wish you could change, but could have done differently if you could do it again?
Yeah. Well, I know I wish I could have done certain things differently because of how I was and my comfort level. What I would have wished differently was that I would have wanted to advocate more for myself. And what that means is financially speaking, probably bringing in a forensic specialist,
Or
right?
CDFA or something.
Yeah.
One of them.
Had you
some
heard-
kind of accountant.
Yeah. Had you heard of the term collaborative divorce beforehand?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, a lot of people don't know what that is either.
No.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's a whole other podcast there, Trisha.
episode.
So,
Oh my God. Like
we
what?
don't have time. We can talk offline. So,
I mean,
but it's definitely a different process where you can be bringing other these professionals, whether they be for
Different experts.
Yeah, different experts. Whether it be to help guide you, like like a therapist sort of way,
A coach, coaching.
therapist coach, down to those more forensic sort of experts there.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know. I was not aware that the term collaborative divorce was an actual.
Or
Yeah,
why-
we
but-
didn't either.
But why should we almost? Because you really don't hear about it.
You don't want to learn. You don't want to know about divorce until you have to.
Right.
So I mean, I
How
think
many
it makes
people are
sense.
listening to divorce podcasts if they're not getting divorced? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I did set the intention throughout the whole entire process, and each session I would have mediation session or whatever session that was required for us to meet in that divorce, to take care of divorce logistics or process. For me, I went with that intention of collaboration
Yeah. Right.
and peaceful methods.
And I'm curious, like emotionally, and like when you got to that ending phase, where you're going, shit, we're actually doing this now. Was that a sense of relief? Was there a sense of sadness? Both, mixture.
Mixed bag.
Yeah.
Mixed bag. Yeah.
Well, how about passage? So you're done. You're divorced. Everything's settled. Passage is now that transition time where it's like, wow, we went from we to me, and now I'm me. How was that for you?
So the me part, even though it seems like it's been a while, so we separated in 2020, finalized with the paperwork 2022. However, with your self-development or personal development, the me part, I feel, is just beginning, maybe in 2020, like a year and a half, 2 years. Well, is it 2 years ago? A year and a half
I
ago?
know, it's crazy.
This is the new year anyway.
Yeah. This year doesn't count yet.
Yeah. So for example, in 2023, I had to file single for the first time. And so 2024, you're in the process of finalizing those returns. And it didn't finalize till October, which isn't that far ago. Whatever.
That long
the
ago,
timing. And so now into this new year, I'm having to deal with that. Plus now a new cycle of taxes to file.
Right.
So in terms of the me, that cemented things for me, especially with my own wealth and where my financial health. It's just talk about really, really looking at the numbers and getting granular on what's going on to get the bigger picture of your own life through numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how about you just emotionally, psychologically, mentally? Like, how do you feel like, just immediately post-divorce, what was that transition period like? What were you going through? Were you celebrating? Were you partying? Were you crying? Were you doing all of it?
It was such a messy, but fun process. So yes, there's celebration and playfulness and fun, and there's possibility and hope. And at the same time, you are just going through the feels. You are in the depths of your sadness and grief, and just old memories will come up. But then you're thinking like, what can happen in the future or what's happening right now? There's all that.
And I mean, I feel like I personally witnessed you becoming a different person. I mean, it's still the same Trisha, of course, but we've talked about it before where I feel like maybe even before the anticipation phase, I've told you this. I literally felt like you were a paler version of yourself versus misread right now, as an example. A literally paler version of yourself compared to now. Would you say maybe during that passage phase, was there a lot of just getting to know yourself again and finding bits of yourself that maybe you had forgotten or buried or deprioritized?
Absolutely. All of that.
Was that scary? Is that fun?
It's all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage, first of all, to finally ask yourself, oh my God, am I going to divorce? Are we going to get a divorce?
Yeah.
Or let's back up. Just the courage to ask, oh my God, do I want a divorce? Then are we going to divorce? And then
Yeah.
fast forward to now. Yeah, it's a shit show.
Yeah.
Yeah. The poo-poo hits the fan.
I mean, you're even louder now than you were before. I
Yeah.
would say just louder in general.
Yeah,
Well, you know.
you have a new voice, yeah?
Yeah.
Or a voice.
So the process is about remembering, like on a mind, body, spirit level, just reconnecting and reclaiming yourself. And like what you said, for me, my voice was so important, even though I've always performed on stage or have been on public speaking situations.
Right.
I even like to sing. You know that
Yeah.
I sing in public. So
Oh, you should come to karaoke with us tonight then. So if you like to sing. Yeah.
I've done karaoke. Yes.
Okay, there we
I love
go.
to karaoke.
All right.
So thank you for recognizing that, because the voice for me, like to just even use this instrument, it was so important. I didn't realize how important it was to me. I didn't realize how much joy it brings. I forgot how powerful it is for me. And then I didn't even realize over the course of time how I deprioritized it. I suppressed it. I muted my own self in many ways. And that comes across not just to the actual voice, but in the way you just behave, the way you carry yourself, how you dress, the words you choose, even what you end up adopting, believing in. So insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're at this, what's it called? New normal?
Yeah,
New
the
normal.
yeah.
Are you at the new normal? Are you still in passage? Do you think?
I feel like I just slipped into new
Oh,
normal.
I like this. I like this.
I slid into
Okay.
it.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back to what you said, the me part.
Yeah.
I just felt it probably last year where I comfortably slipped into something more comfortable.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So like just feeling good in
Silky.
your body.
I feel silky.
Is that like a confidence feeling then? You could see like a difference in like, you know what? This is good. This is the right decision. And I'm really happy with this new me.
Yes, for sure.
And did you feel not as confident before? Or was it a different type of confidence when you were married versus now? I'd love to just kind of hear your perspective.
It was a false sense of confidence for me.
Right.
And I say false sense because it wasn't rooted or grounded in my authentic self. And now, again, it's coming home to my own body. It's coming home to what brings me joy. Even my mind, my thoughts, like remembering what are my own thoughts,
Yeah.
my own opinions, my own ideas, creativity, all that.
So I feel like we're talking a lot about joy and confidence right now, but just kind of going back a little bit for our viewers going through that uncertain process. Were there moments of fear? Were there moments of doubt? Either, during any of it, but even post-divorce, were there moments where you're like, what am I going to do? This is freaking scary. Or were you like, I got this, it's fine?
That fear isn't undercurrent, but it just gets less and less over time. And it's the openness and willingness to go through what you need to go through, even with the fear.
So not avoiding it.
Not avoiding it. So the more we avoid it, what I was doing, I didn't even realize I was avoiding, pushing, that it manifested in a way that I could not ignore the fact that I needed to leave this relationship. And then transitioning to the process itself to where I am now. So the fear part, I mean, it was such a big thing. And now it's still there. It pops up. We're all human. Yeah. But the thing is, the more you uncover, the more you unlayer, you don't realize how deep it goes. And whenever anyone or myself, you face fear or doubt, or you think you can't do it at all, and you feel like you're all alone, and is anyone gonna catch me? It's gonna hurt. It's gonna like involve so much pain and suffering. It will. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It is. It will. But we just got to go through it. And it feels like a burn. You're going through some burn. If I had to put a sensation to it, it feels like it's scalding a bit. And it's okay. We can go through that even with grace. And there's a flow to it. And the trust, and just the trust that you will get to the other side is really important. Having that faith within yourself, that you are supported and loved and held and all that, is so important. But the fear and doubt, let's just be real, it's there. It's part of the, what do you call that? It's a given.
It's part of the survival process.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So let's see. You started this in 2019. Maybe you started thinking about it. Yeah.
When I really, to the surface, started thinking about it.
And it's 2025 life. Fabulous. Pretty good.
But pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Now it's about what's money for me? What does it mean? Like abundance, prosperity, like, do I like starting over in business, and then also contemplating preparing for retirement someday.
Forward thinking.
Yeah, that's what this part is. It's the forward thinking.
I love
so that's where the excitement and eagerness come from.
Thank you, Trisha.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
sharing
you
your story
so
there
much.
and your
I'm
journey.
so grateful. So blessed.
I'm hoping you'll be inspiring to our viewers and listeners that are just not feeling comfortable right now.
Yeah.
You got this.
We
You
got it.
got this.
And if, going through it during the pandemic there, maybe a lot of it online as well. So
It was all online.
It was all
Yeah.
Oh yeah, pretty much it was all
It was
online.
all online. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now we are up to divorce this or that, Trisha. So this is a segment where we put you in the hot seat. We give you two terrible choices. You tell us which one you want to divorce or choose, and you tell us why.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Divorce this or that. We've talked about your dream home, so I'm going to incorporate it into your options here. So you're divorced. You have two options, two ways to go. Option one, you are drowning in money. You are living in your dream home, dream mansion in Manhattan Beach, ocean view, all this stuff, 25 bedrooms, whatever you want. Okay. But in every room, including the kitchen and the pantry, there is a mural, not just photos, but a mural like Sistine Chapel of your ex, every room. I can't even get through it with a straight face. There are paintings with his backside. There are paintings of
He's like a cherub, like cherubs. And
he's painted like a soldier, or like all sorts of different ways.
I wouldn't mind
in
some
every
statues
room.
and maybe some statues at the front of the house too.
Okay.
Statue.
Maybe on the
a
license
fountain.
plate. I don't know. So he's everywhere.
He's everywhere. Or option two, you live on a deserted island, but with your best friend. Which would you choose? Option one or two, and why?
So with the dream home, am I by myself?
You're living a relatively normal life. You have access to people, but you just have all these
Access to-
haunting paraphernalia.
And you can't
of him.
repaint, I don't think.
So Trisha, what would you choose?
Oh, the home. The dream home
Oh.
with people and everything. Because so what if he's there? I could just like play darts. I could like put
Okay.
mustache, like, I could just cover his face
All right, okay.
or paint it over. I could knock down a wall. I could remodel. If I'm drowning in
No
money.
wonder you're friends with her. You're finding ways to get out of it.
But I
So-
want access to all my friends and all the abundance.
All right, Jade.
Wow. Jeez. Well, I could just make it I've got a holiday house too, I guess then. So, look, I'll pick the island because I want to be outdoors anyway. So, and just hopefully my best friend's okay with me picking them to drag them along to, you know, eat coconuts. And, you know, it's a pretty good island though. So, I actually just a short half mile away is the mainland, and we do have a canal on the island. So,
Okay.
So,
Yeah. And are you going to pick a best friend to drag with you to do like little mini adventure races around the island?
I'm narrowing down the list there as well. So,
I see. Okay.
I guess friends could swim over from the mainland because it was only half a mile away. So,
For those of them that know how to swim.
yeah. But that's not bad.
Okay. Fine.
All right. What about you? We know where you're going to go.
Well, I'm gonna pick my mansion or my penthouse in the sky type of scenario because, like Trisha said, I mean, it's kind of like having a tattoo. You just put a new tattoo over it.
Right, exactly.
So maybe I have a tattoo of my ex, but now I have a tattoo of a flower or hummingbird or whatever. And yeah, the mural of his buttocks. Yes, I will put like a little happy face on it and make it into like sunshine or a moon or something. And it'll be beautiful.
Some rolling mountains.
Some rolling mountains. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
That was a fun one. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. So this was another episode of Cover Your Assets. We had Trisha Perez on sharing her personal experience and 4 transitions of divorce. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
My name's Joe.
And I'm Jade, and we'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks' time.